Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another day at B is for Build. If you're just tuning in, maybe you're new to the build, you don't know what's going on, we're trying to finish my Datsun 240Z that has a BMW V10 engine swap. Well, engine, transmission, front subframe, rear subframe. We kind of stole everything out of a E60 BMW and slammed it all into a custom tube freight chassis Datsun 240Z and then wide bodied it. So that's what we're trying to finish in time for SEMA. We leave for SEMA in 3 days. So the crunch is on. I'm gonna be working on body work and wiring. Eric's gonna be here working on the front end. Oscar's gonna be working on the interior, mounting seats, seat brackets, stuff like that. And Travis is gonna be working on our wrap. That's the team for today. That's what's going on. Final installation, starting now. Stay tuned. So I'm starting off today taking the lessons that we learned yesterday and not repeating them. So I'm gonna be working outside on the body prep work, the things where we're gonna be sanding, throwing a lot of particulate, that way we don't screw up our paint booth. So paint booth from now on is gonna be heated, stay heated, and be used for painting, and body prep work is gonna be done outside, and I'm doing it first today, so it's not dark outside when I need to do it. I'll probably get started on the window louvers, I'm not really sure. Well, we've done a pretty crazy amount of sanding. We got these 2 headlight buckets done. They're sanded up, so they're ready to be wrapped. The fender's done. Let me show you the state of the gas cap and the window louvers. In here, I pulled both the doors out of the paint booth. The paint is awesome. It dried up nicely. It's super, super smooth and looks fantastic. So the doors are ready to be wrapped. Coming in here, we've got the fuel filler lid, gas cap basically, gas door, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. This, I went down to bare metal, I warped the hell out of it, so I gave it a layer of body filler and then I'll sand the huge majority of that right back off. A lot of people say, why didn't you get rid of that? Why didn't you delete it? Someday I'd like to maybe figure out a way to actually run a fuel filler neck rather than the fuel cell going in the back of the hatch. But also another reason was we just did not have enough time to risk doing all that stuff and that body work and having more warpage or anything else like that. We didn't have time. Window louvers are all sanded up, so these need to be paint prepped, and then the backs of these get painted and all the edges get painted black, and then we're gonna wrap the top of it so we have that nice gloss wrap that will match the same exact color as the rear diffuser and the side skirts. Next up, I gotta start working on this rear hatch and the 2 access doors that go next to the hood. In here, Eric is gonna start work on assembling some of the front end stuff so we can scope out different things, how they're gonna look. We'll be able to cut that fender then, and we can also start to look at building our front grille and how to mount our front diffuser. Splitter, front splitter. It also diffuses air, but you get it. All right, things in here have been going really well. Eric's got the front end back and assembled, and we're getting really close to being able to mock up our front bumper placement. Then we can draw the lines on that fender and cut that fender to accept the wide body kit. Travis is continuing to wrap the inlays for the bumper, which is looking great. And then Oscar's been working over here on the seat. So we've got our official seat mounting position. We've tested it out. Everybody, fits in the car and everything's looking good. It's tight, but it's okay. So the seat brackets go like that, and the bolts go through, and then we catch them on the bottom. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is once we get all the seat brackets done in here, we're gonna pull those out, and then we'll weld in some eyelets that are 4-point harness connects to. So we'll weld in a spot there, and then over the shoulders, the harnesses just connect to our harness bar right back here. Over on the bodywork side of the world, the back of the hatch is all perfectly smooth and cleaned up. It actually sanded up really nicely. So I need to paint the lock mechanism on the back of there. And I got to paint all this trim too, so when you look at it through the rearview mirror, it doesn't show through as blue. Our filler cap thing is almost done. Just got to get that little bit of glazing putty off of there. And then that will, I'll paint the back, and then we're wrapping the front of that. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these two things up real quick, and then we can start looking at cleaning up the window louvers and prepping those for paint. We got the back of the hatch all painted up. Once this dries a little bit better, we're gonna go ahead and flip it over and paint the lock. I'm heating up all these engine cover pieces because we gotta repaint them once again. We painted them yesterday. And that's just the back side of the door cap. I wanted it to be black, the gas door cap. So I'm gonna flip this over in a couple minutes and paint the other side. Let's head over back in the shop and see how things are going in there. Over in this shop, we're modifying our seat. We need to hammer this thing out a little bit. So Oscar's gonna heat it up with a torch and hammer it a little bit more flat in that way, because that's the only thing that really hits our roll cage. And if we hammer that in, we can move the seat back quite a bit more. So we wanna get all that leg room we possibly can. Coming over here, Eric is working with the front splitter. He's marking out where it's kind of hitting our radiator lines and other stuff like that, where we're gonna wanna trim out, and then we're gonna find out where we can mount it. But now that we have that there, I can test fit our Rocket Money over fender. So I'm gonna test that, make a line. I'll go ahead and cut that, and then I'll do a secondary test fitting and do the final cutting on it. Oscar and I just got done modifying the seats. It came out really well. So what we did was we scored the backside of that railing right there, kind of hammered it out, gave this one a little bit of hammering too. When the seat bends all the way to meet our center console, we gain a lot of leg room, a lot more room for the steering wheel and everything. So we're gonna do this one once we have the door in here. We'll do this one a little bit more. Over here, Eric's got the front diffuser all bolted up to the front bumper, and everything's kind of bolted together. So now we're building supports. We're gonna weld one strip of aluminum off of the base down there in the back up to our bolts right here, and it'll share a mounting point with the front secondary subframe thing. In the center, to hold this part of it up, we're going to do something that bolts into this and then comes up and welds into this support bar here. So that'll be a really, really strong support holding it in the front center. So we'll have 1, 2, 3 points of holding it other than the front bumper, because you don't want to have the front bumper have too much weight on it. And then we came around here and we cut this fender. This was good enough on the first shot, so we're leaving this cut as it is. We're not going to do a second one, so it's ready to be wrapped. Eric built the rear supports for our front splitter. So you can see they go from here into here, one on both sides, and then we're just wrapping up now, building this thing into our center secondary subframe thing like that. Travis is, we're gonna, as soon as we get done welding that, we're gonna pull this front splitter off. Travis is gonna start wrapping the front bumper. And then Oscar and I are, well, after that, Eric's gonna start building the grill, and Oscar and I are moving into wiring. Really big step for the interior. Now that everything else is done in the interior, oh, I forgot to show you. So we have our hooks for our 4-point harness. Our harness has clips. They clip into these hooks that are, you guys remember we integrated these all the way through the bottom of the floorboard and all the supports. So that's for our 4-point harness. So our seats fit, seats have bolts, mounting spots, harnesses have mounting spots, one here, one here, one here, one here. And I'll show you all that tomorrow when we install the seats permanently. But before we do that, we gotta start running wiring. So Oscar and I are gonna go get all the wiring Probably start by throwing it all in the trunk and then start bringing it in and around. Well, 3 or 4 hours later of wiring, it's 2 a.m. and I gotta say, it looks like chaos, but it's actually coming together exactly how I wanted it to. So the left side is, I mean, done. I'm gonna use some air quotes, done. Gotta figure out a clean way to cover this bundle as it runs through here. But a quick overview just to remind you guys. So you got the dashboard in there, so that's gonna hide all that. Hide all the wire right there. Dashboard, carpet over all this stuff, runs back through here, and then right there it's gonna be visible. So then we gotta cover it up to here, and then we have our divider wall, and then our rat's nest. So in here goes some boxes and some fuel cells and some grounding points and some other stuff. But most importantly though is that it's kind of coming together pretty clean actually. We've routed the front loom that goes to the engine side through our hole right there, and that all goes up into the engine and plugs in there, which we'll do tomorrow. And then this runs along the kick panel and back through there. And for the seat harness, I think I'm just gonna hide it under our seat. We actually do have some real estate under our seat to hide things. So, or maybe under the carpet. Maybe a little both. I'm not really sure. That center console, that's all our center console wires. So things are actually coming together. Tomorrow the big chore is going to be to, I undid one of the boxes that kind of held all of these computers, like this one, that one, and that one. I undid that box and threw it away. So we got to mount these big, somewhat heavy components into the back here behind the dash. But other than that, like it's really coming together pretty nicely, and I think it's going to look really clean. And as far as from here back, it's going to look really clean, and then we just got to make sure that we clean it up through there, and it'll be great. Eric worked on, this is the slats for our grill, so Eric got all of these cut and welded. So tomorrow he's going to build the heaviest 240Z grill in history, which I'm pretty stoked about. And then right here, Travis finished wrapping our front bumper. Looks fantastic. So tomorrow that we're gonna go ahead and do the headlight buckets, the rest of the fenders and the over fenders. It's looking really good. All right, well it's 2 a.m. so I gotta call it a night. This has been a big day, but this isn't even our crazy day. Tomorrow is supposed to be our crazy day. Today was 3 days left until SEMA. Tomorrow, obviously 2 days left before SEMA. So we're gonna work really hard tomorrow, stay late to try and set ourselves up for an easier last day. I think that's a good idea. That way we're fresh on the last day, don't forget anything, and don't make any mistakes. At least that's the game plan. We'll see how far we get tomorrow. If this thing's not running by tomorrow, we're gonna be in big trouble, I think. Also, if when we turn it on, it explodes, that would be a big bummer as well. Big morale boost, morale killer. I don't know. I do want to say that there was clearly a lot of time lapse in this one. I could tell just by the way that we filmed it. But that's just because we're so focused on working and not so much on talking. So I apologize if you feel like you're missing out a little bit. We'll go over it later when it's all done. But yeah, it might be like that a little bit more for the next few days because we're just really trying to crank stuff out. Thank you guys so much for watching. You probably noticed by now as well, the episodes are staggered every other day. So doing day off, day on, day off, day on. So that's the schedule. So I will see you guys again for 2 days left before SEMA, the day after tomorrow. I don't know if that's confusing enough, but hey, you guys will figure it out. Okay, I appreciate you all. I'll see you soon. Peace!